Hello, everyone. Welcome to NLP Today. Last few weeks, next few, we're kind of doing the format a little different, where we're going to do a basic NLP technique, or an advanced, but a NLP focused technique uh, that's been updated, usually changed a little bit, maybe something added to it, and then usually at least once or twice a month on the NLP Today, I'm going to start interviewing people from wherever, anything NLP-ish, right? How can we take it with that, right? So that's going to be fun. So if you think of someone that you think you would like to see interviewed, make sure you let me know, and I can reach out to them and see if we could arrange it, because I know everybody's schedule's pretty busy. So today we were going to talk about the, excuse me, new behavior generator, right? Which is actually in its original form was not an NLP technique, right? It was, I remember the first time I saw it was in Maxwell Maltz's book, Psycho-Cybernetics. You know, I think he called it theater of the mind, where you watch a movie and do, so, NLP just kind of streamlined it a little bit. Um, and the more I got into the deep stuff in NLP, I realized Bandler and Grinder were real good at taking uh, ideas that were already in there in the lexicon somewhere and kind of repackaging them a little bit and putting it out there. Because they both said in different interviews, even after they quit talking, that they they originally were not calling it anything other than hypnosis training. And then they were going to go to waking hypnosis, and then they many different stories of where they came up with neuro-linguistic programming. Uh, so I can't separate the fact from the verbiage, if you will. But it's, it sounded more scientific. And you got to remember, this was in the 70s, going into the early 80s, where hypnosis, I don't want to say it had a bad rap. People heard of it, but it was usually through stage shows. And so that when they came up with the scientific name, it was easier for them to pitch it to the people they were pitching it to. So anyway, that's my little history lesson, the way I understand it. Um, so today is the new behavior generator with a slight twist. Well, one of the things with the new behavior generator, it is basically where you just vividly imagine it, a movie. I'll walk through all the steps. You step into it, you do this. Well, after I got into this, started tweaking it with other people, it wasn't just me. Where, well, what's missing? So if you're like going to watch a movie of, you want to be a better presenter, you're going to watch a video of Tony Robbins giving one of his presentations, right? So you're watching the video, you see all this, right? Fine. Your brain can kind of understand that. And then in the original model, just like psycho-cybernetics, then you will step into the movie and experience it, right? And it works. I don't say it doesn't work. It's been around forever. And it actually was, it's still real popular just at that format in sports. Right? You always hear top tier athletes talk about they'll watch someone they respect and admire and imagine them playing like they did. Right? I think it was Tom Brady was talking about, he used to watch video because he grew up there too, but he would watch videos of Joe Montana playing football. Surgical, precise, but maybe not the best physical skill set. He's not Tom Brady's not whatever his name's. Uh, you know, a, he's a good athlete, but he uses his skill set. So he modeled someone that, like, this makes sense to me, being surgical, being thinking, and that. So it seems to work, right? Well, so when it doesn't work is what I always look at. So if you do that with somebody, if it doesn't work, what's going on, right? Why doesn't it? Well, first of all, maybe a huge leap from where you are to that, right? And then again, I was watching a video of somebody and again, it was football where they were in it because I'm trying to listen for these skill sets. I think it was Peyton Manning, but he talked about you got to become comfortable with incremental growth and making those small steps, right? And evidence of that, his first year in the league, he led in interceptions. They were like 2-14 or whatever the thing was, right? In this day and age, that they would already call him a washout, and he would have been out of the NFL. But the next year he got a little bit better, a little bit better, right? And so I started to add when I would do the NLP techniques, the okay, if you're going to watch this model of like Tony Robbins giving a presentation, not to use sports, okay, right? But as you're watching that model, you kind of see maybe some of those steps that he had to take to be that good, right? He did not start with these huge mega seminars, right? He started with 20, 30 people in a room. And then built out from there. And he also, as you're watching him do this video, like of him giving a great presentation, you also see kind of behind the scenes, he's always getting feedback, right? And not the feedback like, you're great, we love you. He gets that shit all the time, right? So it's not feedback from the audience, it's feedback from professionals. And when he got started, he had a couple things going for him. One is he was hanging around Jim Rohn and that group, right? But also, he lived in Southern California, and I think he went to Beverly Hills High, if I remember right. So one of his networks is showbiz people, right? And so he would bring in directors and performance coaches. They would watch him and give him feedback. Okay? Like what went well, what didn't go well, what could have gone better. And according to someone people here on the call know, John Oda, when he worked with Tony in the 90s, and then some of it was pretty to the point, and he said he was always impressed with how Tony took the feedback because he only wanted to be better on stage, right? And I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Just like sports, because what's the old saying? You get stuck when you want to be right rather than get it right. So what do I got to do to get it right? And so you can add that even just by watching the video. And even if you don't know what the methodology was, you could add it in. And if you're going to do the new behavior generator with people in this day and age, if they're picking someone that has some presence, media presence, that the great thing about this day and age, and the bad thing, but that's a different story. But the great thing, there's so much material you can look at, and I did this with someone at the conference I was at, the last conference, and they wanted that. And so we were starting to do it. So what I did is I pulled up a video because I Googled it and I found it of Tony Robbins in the early 1980s, video of him, right? And he had a suit of white shirt, red tie, suspenders. That was the look, right? And he was very yuppie-ish and business oriented, right? And so I go, he didn't start with what he's doing now, and it was a small group he was teaching to. And so we have all this stuff at our fingertips if we choose to use it, right? So that's the first part of it. And then the second part, which I hope is in the, if not, I will correct it when I upload it, is as you're finally, like you say, you watch this person, you kind of figure out what they're doing, what did they do to get there? What were some of the steps? Also think about what are their values, beliefs, and attitudes, not yours. If you're terrified to give a public speech, you don't want to, you have to realize, well, what's their attitude? Maybe it's like, no problem, I got this, right? Or they channel it, whatever it is. But you need to hallucinate, if you will, what, because I think your subconscious mind will generate a value, attitude, and belief that maybe is what you need to add, right? Uh, and when I do it for public speaking, I always tell people it's like one thing you could take from Tony Robbins, Brandon Burchard, um, what's his name, Joe Dispenza, all those guys, is it's okay to make a mistake, especially when you're on the platform doing it. You can't. It's like doing a performance in a play. You can't stop and reset, right? So you can just keep going, right? So that would be a good one. So you want to put in some of those values, attitudes, and beliefs that maybe you know that they have, or you think that they have, right? Again, when I used to work more, and I'm starting to again with athletes, one of the big ones is if they're modeling a high performance guy, a professional football player, baseball, basketball, MMA, is one of the beliefs they all always have is they're going to win. And they're usually, you see them shocked when they lose, right? You see them shocked when they lose, right? And so there's that. And then last thing we started adding is as you're watching that video and now you see their values, attitudes, and beliefs, you see maybe some of the incremental steps they did to get there, all that. But then also you look at through the video, if you will, kind of translucent, maybe to the sides, what homework, is the term I use, right? What study, what did they do to get that good? What did they do to get that? They don't generally just pick up the football and, can do everything they do. The people that make it study, and I'll default to either being a good therapist or a good public speaker is you study the craft, right? You always hear top tier actors. My true passion lately is they're always talking about the craft and learning the craft. And people that's not in that world go, what are you talking about? You just, the words are there, learn the words and say the words, right? And you've all seen performances like that. It's like, usually it's not very good, right? So what's the craft? So they study, they do this, right? And again, like the top tier professional speakers, the ones I've talked to or seen, they do talk about studying how to be a better presenter, and how can they become better? How can they present better? What's important in this day and everything that Michelle mentioned? I had an interview this morning, and one of the things we talked about is how everything's changing so fast, it's hard to keep up. What worked a few years ago doesn't work now. Why? And how can you, the most you could probably do is not be ahead of the curve. You can be right behind the curve before the curve totally swallows everybody else, right? And book. This ask the book. It's Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. I think it was published in the 50s or 60s. One of the best books out there. His other book, which is almost as good, is The Magic of Self-Image Psychology. Because he was a plastic surgeon, right? And he talked about how people would come to him that goes, you don't need any surgery. Yeah, but my nose, right? And, but he did, it's kind of what we do. That's kind of interesting is, he talked to some of these people and he couldn't convince them that they looked fine, right? And then but what he found is some of the people, we see it in this day and age, because now there's video everywhere, is they get the surgery done, but it's not enough. And then they get another. It's like, to me, it's the whole tattoo phenomenon, right? Uh, one's kind of cool, maybe two, but anyway, that's my own bias. But yeah, body dysmorphia. I can't. You spelled it. Now I could spell it because I could look at it. But yeah, so he talked about that. Now this was today in this day and age, he'd probably lose his medical license. But for some people, supposedly he would put them under anesthetic, right, and basically not do anything, but bandage them up and say, you're not going to be as sore as you think, but it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And for the next few days, I want you to think about how you're going to be delighted when we take the bandages off. And most of those people were very happy, right? So anyway, that's a different topic, self-image, right? One of my favorite topics. So, and again, part of that goes into the new behavior generator is what is Tony Robbins' self-image when it comes to presenting? Or whoever, if they're good. I know I can speak to one that, whether you like his style or not, he's a great presenter in a different way, is Richard Bandler. And I remember back 25, 30 years, whenever, 30 years ago, I was in a training and it was on presentation skills. And somebody asked me, well, what do you think? He goes, my first thought when I stand up there, after he looks at the audience and goes, your ass is mine. Right? But then he would also think, you don't realize how fucking lucky you are to be in this room with me. That projects a whole different attitude of, can I please you? Right? And that, and then toward the end, now I don't know what he does lately. He's changed a lot for the good, in my opinion. But he would also add, and unfortunately, those of you that don't get it aren't capable of getting it, which is brilliant preemptive. Like, no, I get it, even though you have no clue what he's talking about. So anyway, that's the new behavior generator. You see the person that you're going to model, so you want a skill, being a better athlete, presenter, right? And you watch a video of it, because actually it's kind of like regressing to childhood. That's how you learned to walk. You see other people, some of it's internal, but you see other people doing it. You see little kids doing it. They'll see somebody doing something and they'll try to do it, right? So you're just how your brain works, right? So you see your model doing it. Then you can imagine the incremental steps. So if you're picking an expert and you're at the start, right? What will always make you fail is comparing your start to their expertise, right? It takes a while to get there, right? And we don't have the mentoring and skill sets that we used to. So sometimes it takes a while. I was lost in thought about how to tell a story because I'm not quite sure if the story is really true or not. But if it is, I like it, right? Which is, there was a Army officer, right, who had went through Ranger training back in the day, like a lot. Billy knows a lot of the officers collect the tabs. I mean, hell, even Navy guys go through Ranger school, right, just to get that tab. And it's a good skill. It's a leadership course. Enough said. Then he goes and he does, whatever, 10 or 12, 14 years, in the Army. So he's rising in ranks. We have an expert here, so I don't want to overstep. But he was whatever rank he was, probably major or lieutenant colonel. And then he gets the chance to go back to a Ranger unit. And so he met with the command sergeant major. And supposedly that guy looked at him and goes, what you need to do is go back through Ranger school. Because you want your men to respect you. You haven't been doing this for 20 or 15, 14 years. Right? And I heard, I'll always screw his name up, Admiral, the Navy SEAL, 4-star Admiral. Billy knows his name.
McCraven.
McCraven. talk one time about how it was humbling for him to realize the skill sets of the groups had advanced way past him, you know. So anyway, and the guy, supposedly the guy went back through, Ranger school, and the first thing everybody said, "You're awful goddamn old to be in this course." But anyway, but he knew he couldn't go from, basically, even though he had some skills, he couldn't be up there with the NCOs and the officers that were in the unit. So it's okay to take those incremental steps. Then you look at the attitudes, values, and beliefs. What do they think about it? How do they think? What are they doing? And then kind of behind it all, you begin to realize what's all the prep work that they did, homework. Did they read? Did they take other classes? Like actors, they're always in a class or a seminar or a workshop, right? And when a guy like Robert De Niro talks about taking classes, most people would say he's a pretty good actor. But he's taken classes, right? And so there's things you can add. So when you step into the movie, you're not just absorbing the physical skills of whatever it is that they're doing. You're absorbing the attitudes, outlooks, and beliefs. You realize it's probably going to be an incremental growth, and you realize the homework that maybe some of it you've done, but now you need to add that. So that's kind of the new jazzed up. But then if you want to make it magic, as soon as they go through the new behavior generator, you add a technique to it called the magic mirror, okay? Which I'll just demo it, right? So when you put those two together, and the magic mirror only takes a few minutes, so you do like all NLP techniques, they don't take that long. Right? Usually the setup's longer than the technique. In fact, if you really get good at NLP and this stuff, the hardest issue you're going to face is trying to fill a 45-minute session if you were going to do a 45-minute session, right? Because you pretty much got the stuff done. That's why I learned years ago to say, I do a session. You're going to get 4 sessions. How long is a session? I don't know. Depends. It might be 15, 20 minutes. It might be an hour. I don't know. And I've never had anybody complain. Because even if you're in and out quick, most of you got other stuff to do. And the only time, I will caveat, the only time I did that, and I said, okay, we're done for the day. We've only been going for like whatever it was, 30 minutes. I thought this was like whatever, 45 minutes or an hour. I'm like, I'm not a fucking plumber. If you had a heart attack, that doctor's not charging you by the hour when he's doing the heart bypass, right? If he can do it in an hour, okay, great. If it takes him 4, it's whatever it is. So anyway, let me share my screen if I can find. There we go. Can you see it? The new behavior generator process, right? And I got to tweak it a little bit and then go right into the magic mirror, right? And again, I firmly believe, this is my belief, it may not be the fact, that doing it fast is better than taking it too slow. Because your brain is, people here know, is processing thousands of bits of information very fast. So the information's coming in, and we want to bypass some of the critical factors and step into the things underneath it. So here's what we're going to do. Let me. Who would like to? Hey, Bruce, how would you like to be a better cyclist?
Absolutely.
Pardon?
Absolutely. I want to become a better cyclist. That's always that's always the thing.
Okay. Cool. All right. So this is the you'll get, or I'll post this in NLP today when I post the video, so you'll be able to download it. Also, you could just reach out to me and I'll send it to you. I just have to clean it up a little bit, make a couple of changes, right, Michelle? Anyway, so let's stop the share. Now we got me and Bruce. So Bruce, would you like to play with your brain?
Look, you never mind. There's too many women here. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So can you think of someone who, well, what skill would you like to do better? Just of any skill out there. I don't care.
Social media.
Social media. Let's do social media. Right? Great.
I think you could probably start you off by saying that, if I look at, his name is Gary Vanderchuck. I don't think that's the,
Gary
I think it
V.
goes by the name of Gary V, exactly. And I look at him and watch his videos on YouTube, and I then sit down to start to work on it, and I'm motivated for an hour, and then I go, there's no way I'm getting to that level. Who the hell am I kidding? So how's that for a starting point?
Okay. Well, and we have a model. We have a model. Right. Gary V. And aside, you might like, he's sometimes if I'm using Chat GPT, I'll say write a post as if you're Gary V on, and then I'll give the techniques, and then it'll come up like, bro, you ready to go? He's that guy. Like, I mean, so AI is going to be there whether we like it or not, but it gives you a starting point. So yeah. So what do you think some of his mindsets are about social media, internet marketing? He's been in it a long time, right? I mean,
Well, he does two things. He tries to, if you start looking at from the days of his wine business when he first started on social, etc., he wanted to impart information and also engage the audience to want to listen past the first like opening sentences and stuff and want to like thirst to come back for more.
okay. And you think one of his other mindsets is it's something about how, because I've heard him say that, is like, as soon as you learn what's going on, you got to be open to change because they're going to change the algorithm on TikTok or Facebook or wherever you're doing it, right? I mean, like for years, Facebook groups were the hot thing. Now Facebook's algorithm is not very encouraging for Facebook groups, right? Unless you're a paid group, that's a different story. So yeah. So what do you think he did to learn, like behind the scenes? Because, like you said, he started with the wine business in California, I think. Wasn't it California?
Not sure, somewhere, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Virginia, yeah.
Or it could, yeah, wherever. But he started with the wine business. Um, so what do you think some of his incremental steps were? I mean, he didn't go from, okay, now I'm a wine guy. Now I've got 10 million followers.
I guess he started by experimenting and doing, and honestly, one of the better things is he didn't care what you thought about the video because if you watched it, that meant that he was engaging with you. And I guess he talks about putting himself aside and going, what can I do that is going to encourage, educate, motivate, or promote? And just, I think the greatest thing that I hear him say every so often is he took himself out of the equation and always tries to step into who the person is, who he's targeting.
Okay, cool. So that he has different values, attitudes, and beliefs. He made incremental steps, going from the wine business, then he did this, then he did that. And it was right? Would you? Yeah. So are you okay with taking incremental steps? Well, you're going through it now with your, once you get back on the bike and you start cycling, I don't think you're ready for a 26-mile bike ride. If you
Yes.
want to walk the next day, that is, if you, cool.
It takes me time to get back up to that. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, and again,
That's a
judging
good.
where you're, if you judge where you're at by where he's at, they always get turned around, right? It's not good. You got to like, ratchet it up, right?
It's actually a very interesting analogy because, you know, when I hit the 26-mile mark and I can cycle 26 miles, I would go, okay, I want to get to 30. I want to get to 35. And yet, when you said to me, am I ready to get back to like 20, 26-mile ride? My initial answer was, there's no way when I get back on my bike, I can do it. But you see, the interesting thing is that I know I can do it because I was there. So getting back from here to there, I know I could do it. And just keeping that in my mind, I guess is a way of looking at doing social media going, hey, you know what? I got to here. I didn't get here automatically. I worked towards it. Now I've been off my bike for 6 months, you know, uh, not by my own choice, you know. Um, so I know that I can't start from here and get back to where I was, but I know that I can achieve it. I guess knowing that I can achieve it and I have achieved it is a comforting part that I guess I could be able to take over to doing social media. I think having some knowledge may be dangerous, but that's what I'm thinking, you know.
Well, yeah, and also too, I think I've heard other people that get into this say and coach with athletes is you mean, well, let's use internet marketing, let's use the that world because it's better than sports, is or professional speaking. Um, you may not really want to be in front of 4,000 people as a professional speaker. A lot of people, yes, I would you really? Or where would be your, you could be working toward it, but you get to that, oh, I got 25, 40 people in a room. I'm happy. I'm fine. Does that make sense to you? Right? Because again, you see the internet marketers make that mistake. I'll show you how to make, $7,000 million a day on this, that. And you're like, I just want to make my car payment. That would be nice. And so even though you're going for that, you know that there may be an off road for you a little bit, right? But use those skill sets. Um, and again, you may not always use all the skill sets. Use a sports analogy. You know, um, you don't always have to win the game. Sometimes you just manage the game. The team's doing well. You're just managing. So let's use that. So we got our goal. We have the person we're going to model. You kind of know what some of his ideas are. So here we go. So I want you to take a deep breath and kind of close your eyes, get centered and grounded. And so we're going to add a skill set. We're just going to build on you're good at social media, and you're much better than you were when you started, but you want to be even better. So you've picked one of the true leaders in the field of social media marketing. And he has the skills, abilities, and stuff that you would like. Now, what I want you to do is imagine you're in a movie theater, magic movie theater, if you will, of like Ministry of Magic from Harry Potter. But you're sitting in the movie theater and you look up on the screen and you see a movie or a video of Gary Vee explaining and actually doing, because he always does it when he's explaining it, like how to take your social media marketing to the next level. And kind of watch the movie. It's a little longer than you think, but it's fast in your mind. Where he shows, you may start with a video that gets, 20 views, then you do a video that gets 40 views. Eventually you'll be, then he'll show one of his where he's getting, whatever it is, hundreds of thousands of views. So it's incremental, right? And so you see your model doing the things you'd like to do. And now let the movie start again because it's very fast. You notice all the little nuances, if you will, how comfortable they are doing this, right? How they laugh off making a mistake and just go back and do it again, right? So you see all those nuances. And now you watch the movie again, and not only that, you see their energy, if you will, their aura, their life force, that thing that gives them that drive to do what they're doing. And then one more time, you watch the model and you see, his values, his attitudes, his beliefs with that. That's what makes him comfortable. And maybe that's what draws in that universal energy. And then you watch the movie one last time. Now it all comes together where you watch the movie and you see all the things the person did that got them so good. You kind of see in the background, Gary Vee did online classes. He went to seminars. He talks to other social media marketers. He has a mastermind group, all the things that he does to keep them there. So now you see how comfortable he is with all that. Now, this time, as you begin to start the movie, you take a deep breath, and it's like you've cut your model out and you replace that picture of him with you in the right context. You're not on a big stage, but you're doing it in your office or at the park, wherever you're doing it. And so you watch yourself perform and do everything your model did. And you begin to absorb their energy flow, their life force, because they're all teaching this, so that's what they do. Right? And you begin to think about absorbing his values, attitudes, and beliefs. And now start the movie again, step into it, and notice all the nuances. How comfortable you are as you fully absorb all of this. And lastly, play the movie. You're in it, you're seeing it, you're doing it in your context. And that energy flows through you. So you're doing all the things you witnessed your model doing, but now you're doing it from the inside. Good. And do it over and over again. Great. Excuse me. Now what I want you to do is imagine you're looking in a mirror. That the screen fades away, you feel changed, and you look in the mirror and you see yourself as you are today. A snapshot of you. And when you look in the mirror, you see behind you, because you always see behind in the mirror, you see all the things that went on in your background. And you realize the person you were 6 months ago is much different than the person you are today. And maybe there's values and beliefs you had to let go of it way back in your past. And as you're thinking that, you realize it's a process. And now you look into your eyes in this mirror in your mind, and you see you being who you want to be. And right behind it, you see yourself comfortable with the social media marketing, with new attitudes, values, beliefs, worthy of that success. And what if you add, like, as you see this, you step into that, and you can almost see a mastermind group. Guys like Gary Vee, Joe Vitale, some of these people that Tillman Knutson, these people that are really good at internet marketing, right? And they all do different things, right? Now, kind of step through that mirror for the last time and see yourself as you truly want to be, doing the social media marketing, comfortable with it. As you step into this new you look back and you see yourself as you were back there when we did this technique, and know that it's a process. And you can even look farther ahead to the next mirror and the next, that the changes will continue. So take a deep breath. And as you exhale, open your eyes. Come on back. Cool.
So really interesting. Bunch of stuff. And the first thing is my view change, meaning when I work on something for social media, as an example, I'm working on, the everyday hero and like what gratitude or kindness, etc., does to the person in terms of, releasing the hormones and how they feel, etc. It changed. It changed from looking at the information that I was working on and information to create the social media post to what do I want to elicit in the person that watches this? Like,
Okay.
what do I want them to get out of it, as opposed to what do I want to put into it? And the other part of it is my, I guess, the benchmark or looking to what I want to hit really changed tremendously from the reaction of what I want to do versus the benchmark became, okay, what do I want them to do that's going to benefit me? Not just, the video gets 300 views or or 15 likes and 12 shares or whatever it is, to what did this do to accomplish me to the goal that I want to get to economically down the line. It became a shift in my thinking. Thinking of Gary Vee and modeling.
Yeah. So how do you feel now about um
Achieving it, my benchmark changed. So no longer am I looking for one thing. I'm looking for something else that's easier to, it's it's measurable as opposed to a vague goal. It changed me to be more of a measurable goal of achieving what I want them to do or what I would like to do in terms of buying a product and moving my business.
cool. All right. So when are you going to start?
Uh, I already started in my head as we're talking. It's the beauty of ADHD. You have just 12 million things in your head at one time. So it's like, okay,
Yeah, I know
already started.
my current goal, and I've done it before and then I get away from it, right? Probably because, what used to work doesn't work anymore. I used to be able to do these Facebook Lives. They'd be all over. People be contacting me, with the horses, and they loved it. And then now it's like I could do one and sometimes it's like crickets, right? And so in that interview this morning, I got some interesting ideas, and it is like you just said, for the social media, is to do a post every day, video post every day, either long form or short form, or do one where you make the long form, let AI break it down for you, where then you can upload those. But just start bombing, you know. And again, it's that idea of like, well, people are going to start, one of the fears I have that I have to overcome is they're not going to like it. They're going to unfriend me. They're going to do this. And the guy I was talking to today, I'm trying to model some of his attitude. He goes, good, let them. They're never going to buy from you anyway. It's like, are you building a business, or you want to run a, Christian fellowship group or something? There's, you know, So I'm like, that's an interesting thing. So just start posting, right? And so I'm going to start doing that. That's my, and I'll make that commitment. Will you make that commitment so people can start? Yeah. And you already have a leg up with, you know, you understand enough that like you don't have to individually post now. You can do the StreamYard or whatever. We're
Offer or whatever, correct? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Cool. Cool. All right. All right. All right. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? That is the new behavior generator, kind of tweaked up with then go right into that magic mirror thing, which is a technique we came up with in NFNLP. And I actually got that one from a medical doctor. Just when he told me that because something was going on and I had these tests, he goes, and I was worried about it because the VA told me to worry about it. And I asked him, he goes, it's a snapshot in time. Let's do it again. And it was like, fine. So anyway, that's about it for me. Oh, everybody though, I did have a great experience this weekend. I told a few people is I was blessed. It's a lot of work, but I got to do it. To do some PTSD evaluations for guys in the VA. You know, the initial benefit questionnaire, the DBQ. I had to go learn how to do that. It's like, you know, and then again, like what this ties in, there's a method here. It ties into what Bruce was saying. I kept putting it off because I'm like, it's going to be so hard. I won't be able to do it. And this and this and this. And then I realized this is what I do for the other stuff I do. I open it up in Adobe. I just fill in what I need to fill in, you know, and it's like, so that was fun to do. Not fun. Well, yeah, fun to be. What's the word I want? Not fun. Yeah, Billy, I could do a training on the DBQ. Disability Benefit Questionnaire. I've had to do many of those for me anyway. So yeah, and that's where I could take the skill sets like what Bruce has. He's a great salesman, right? And all that. He's such a good salesman. He's gonna go out and do this social media and make a lot of money and send me a small diamond. Um, and so I can use like Bruce can use his sales skills. He understands that. And he checks marketing. And with this stuff I'm doing with that other the VA right now, it's like, okay, I really can understand. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. How do you word the thing there, right? And go and talk to people that I was talking to the head of the California Disabled DAV, Disabled American Veterans. So that's the largest. And I met him on a movie set. His hobby is film. So we start talking, and he sent me information on how to write this stuff, you know. And then he corrected when I made a mistake. He goes, "Don't feel bad. It's a trick question, you know. That one of those. You ever take an advanced psych test, and it's like how they ask the question drives you. Wait a minute, is it more likely than or more likely than not?" So anyway, any feedback, questions? I don't want to keep everybody. Cool. All right. And
Fantastic.
this will be uploaded, and I'll upload. It's on my NLP today or my NLP YouTube. And I think I'm really gonna. Speaking of social media, I'm gonna start pushing it. Even more than the Facebook group because it's dying. So why not go to something? So yeah, I gave you the link to my YouTube video. So there will be, and I'll get this the text of it kind of cleaned up and tweaked out and give it to people. Make sense to everybody? All right, everybody. Everybody have a great day and either celebrate or cry, whatever happens. You know, it is what it is. Life goes on. So cool. All right, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.